Hey, I'm Robert. I lead the DIY business for Intel. Welcome to The Blueprint. Today we're going to talk about CUDIMM, or clocked, unbuffered, dual inline memory modules. CUDIMM is way easier to say. Before we go into that though, it's important to have a little bit of background on how memory overclocking works, just so you can understand the benefits. So what I've done here is drawn an example of how memory communication actually works if you hooked up an oscilloscope and looked at the electrical signals. And you'll see two waveforms. There's one that goes up and down, and one, you could say there's one that goes down and up. And in the middle, this spot here, that's called the data I. And when you overclock, that is, you make the frequency more compressed, you're increasing the frequency of your memory, that data I, you can see, gets a lot smaller. Another way to put that is it gets a lot harder to keep the signal stable and clean, such that a binary 1 looks like a binary 1 and a 0 looks like a 0. So for example, if you had something like this, that might not be accurate. That would be a bad data I, because the electrical signal is incorrect. So how do we keep this electrical signal intact? How do we keep a clean data I when we're increasing memory frequency? One way to do that is you have a great memory controller on the CPU. Intel has great memory controllers on the CPU. We have multiple world records in memory overclocking. But there's also industry standards that Intel can adopt and has adopted to help. And one of those is called CUDIMM. So what I'm going to do first is draw just like a standard Intel CPU and a stick of RAM, and I'm going to put a little memory controller here. And that memory controller on the CPU in a normal world has to talk to all the memory chips, which are many inches away on your motherboard. And if you hold up your motherboard and you look at the CPU and the RAM, those don't look very far apart, but from the perspective of a nearly microscopic memory controller, talking to something inches away, yeah, that's actually pretty challenging. So the industry has come up with a separate technology called CUDIMM, which works a little differently, and we're just going to draw another CPU, but we're going to flip it 90 degrees counterclockwise, so the memory controller is now on top, and we're going to put another stick of memory, and we're going to add a little chip to that memory. That's called a clock driver, or CK, is something that you'll sometimes see it referred to. And what it allows the CPU to do is, instead of one to many, like you have normally, it is 1 to 1. The CPU's memory controller just talks to the clock select chip on the RAM, and then it's this chip that talks to the rest of the memory on the module. And when you reduce the number of communication channels from many to one, it just gets a lot easier to send and receive a clean signal. In other words, you can push the frequency a lot higher without getting data I errors or binary 1s flipping to 0s and 0s to 1. It would be madness. That's what crashes your computer. So having a clean overclock is one part memory controller, one part having the right memory technology like CUDIMM, and yeah, one part skill and luck. Overclocking isn't an exact science, but a good memory module can certainly help with that. But the reason why CUDIMM exists at all is because obtaining high frequencies with large memory capacities in the DDR5 era is simply hard. Getting to something like this in D5 is just challenging. So having a CUDIMM module would make it easier to obtain high frequencies, whether or not you're overclocking. There are memory technologies coming that need this clock select chip just to hit the frequency on the box. But when you're overclocking as well, that can also make a big benefit. And again, not every memory module needs this. Really, really good memory chips on the module can help and can smooth over a lot of the pains you might find when you're overclocking. But by and large, if you want an easy time, a less painful time when you're overclocking, certainly a CUDIMM is going to do the trick for you. And that technology is compatible with all Intel 800 series chipsets. And currently, Intel is the only technology company with CUDIMM support on its motherboards and CPUs. So that's a great option for you if you care about memory overclocking, lower latency, good for gaming. And then, of course, that technology is available on the Intel Core Ultra 200S processors, available in market now. Hey, I'm Robert, host of Intel Blueprint, where we make the hard stuff easy by drawing about it. You'll learn how CPUs fit together, how these components talk to one another. Hit that like and subscribe button. I'll see you in the next episode.